Good day, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Albino Rhino beer review. We have a beer that I picked up through the LCBO's home ordering system. This is a beer from Wellington, from Guelph. This is Against the Currant, which is a black currant kettle sour, and it is 5.5% alcohol. I think it's a little redundant here. You have black currant kettle sour, and then underneath that, soured beer. I know there's a lot of people that don't know what they're getting into, but if it says sour on the label, it's probably a soured beer. So this is made with Escarpment Laboratories yeasts. Escarpment Laboratories is a yeast, a beer yeast. I don't know, they might actually make yeast for wines and stuff too. But they're a custom yeast company here in Ontario. Brewed by Wellington Brewing Company, 950 Woodlawn Road West, Guelph, Ontario. Best before the 16th of November 2003. Is that? It says 16, no, 23. Now, see, I am, my parents are European. My family is Irish, and there is a tiny bit of Scottish in there on my mom's side. But my family is Irish, and I do most of my dating the European way, which is day, month, year. Now, I don't know. This beer is from this year, though, so I wouldn't think that that would be November 2016. I would think that that November portion of the date is November 16th, 2023, but I could be wrong. If anyone from... Fuck, your tab did not work. That's what your tab did for me. That's what your fucking tab did for me. Fucking piece of... Right now, I am more angry about this than I am about wax. Because unlike wax, you can't just pick this off. You need, if those tabs don't work, you need to get yourself something to cut through it with. And that's what I did. I cut through it. Okay, and we still have... Oh, we have the new Welly cap on here. The Kicking It for 30 years cap. It's the Welly boot. But instead of selling Wellington Brewery, it says Kicking It for 30 years. Let's just double check if there's anything on here that's worth talking about. 18 IBU. Original gravity of 12.3. Final gravity of 23. So that's 2.3. I'm blind. Served between 5 to 7. Glassware of tulip. Not a tulip, and probably at about 14 degrees. Ingredients: water, barley malt, hops, black currant, brewer's yeast, and Lactobacillus brevis. See, now, for those of you that don't know what sour beer is, they actually explain it to you right here. Sorry, I know this video is taking a long time, but hey. Working with our friends at Escarpment Laboratories, we used a simple kettle sour process to create a tart and refreshing sour beer. Kettle souring lowers the pH of the beer by adding Lactobacillus into the brew kettle, which produces natural lactic acid. When the appropriate sourness is achieved, the kettle is brought to a boil, killing any living Lactobacillus, leaving behind a distinctly sour beer with notes of lemon and honey. Now, see, right there is where sometimes things don't work out the way you expect it. Because when you are bringing the beer to a boil, the lacto is still alive until you hit the boil. So, there are some beers that become almost vinegary because it took too long to get to that boil. But that's okay. I will say one thing about this beer. I'm loving that color. Oh yeah. Look at that. Look at that. That is a beautiful looking beer. Beautiful. Like that, there's like an orange glow coming off of it. I love it. Slightly off, slightly white head, very white head, just a slight bit of very white head. Lots of carbonation moving in there, though. It's a good-looking beer. Scent. Okay, so there are a couple different bacterias you can use to do kettle souring, and I think lacto might be the bacteria that makes me think of perm chemicals, because that just reminds me of growing up in when I was younger and I was in Ottawa, living in my mother's basement with her hair salon and her doing hair. Okay, out of the bottle, it has a little bit more of a. It's a little bit more of that black currant scent, that little bit of berry scent. But out of the glass, it's basically just the sour tartness that kind of makes my nose go up, and it reminds me of perm chemical. A lot of her clients were old ladies. Let's try the beer. Cheers, I'm really excited. Okay, it's tart, but it's not overly tart. I mean, it smells much more sour than it really is. I mean, that nose kind of scared me, but the taste is almost neutral. Especially when you take into account the black currants. The black currant flavor does round out that sourness. And I mean, you can get a lot of sour black currant too, but the black currant does kind of remind me of a black currant tea. What does it say here? To round out this unique beer, we added local Ontario black currants, which contribute a purple hue, earthy berry notes, and a tart finish to this tasty summertime beer. See, I would argue that the SRM is 5. That's not a 5 on the SRM scale. I am sorry, that is not a 5. The SRM would be the color of the beer. A 5 should be golden. That is not golden. Not golden. I cannot believe that's a 5. That one, I don't usually care about the SRM, but yeah, that's not a 5. I've seen things in like the 15s that are still gold. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, there's a slight tartness at the very front. Then you get exactly like it talks about, that earthy berry flavor. Just an earthy, slightly sweet, slightly tannic flavor. And then it kind of just fades into an earthy dryness. I mean, it says that there's a tart finish, but for me, I'm getting a dry finish. I'm getting everything just cleared away. This actually seems to be a very good palate cleanser, to be honest with you. So this would be great between, if you were having like a full course meal, you know, like you had all the different courses coming. You had your appetizer, your salad, your soup, your your main dish, and then your dessert. You get yourself a 5-course meal coming. And this would be a great palate cleanser between each course, because it would clear off that tongue. It just, the sour starts up, starts closing, starts clearing the palate, and then that dryness just comes off and just resets everything. This isn't a bad beer. Is it a great beer? I don't know if I'd call it a great beer. But is it a good introduction to sours? Yeah, I think it is. I avoided this beer as a courtesy to my good buddy in the basement, DJ Crazy Chris Lysak Photography. I avoided this beer because he's not a fan of sour beers. And I mean, I like exposing people to beers they're not a fan of. I even expose myself to beers I'm not a fan of, because you never know what you're going to find and what you're going to like. So I really do enjoy exposing people to stuff that they say they don't like. But as a courtesy, I didn't expose him to this one. Now I'm wishing I had, because I think he would have really liked this. I think this would have been the turning point sour for him. There's a turning point beer for everybody in every style, and I think this would have been the turning point beer for him when it comes to sours. It has that tart up at the forefront that just gets you used to tasting lacto, and then it fades to dryness. I mean, you can't say it's overly sour. It's not mouth puckering. It smells like it's going to be, but it's not. It's not overpowering with the black currant. So if you don't like fruit beers, you're still okay. All in all, I think this is a great little beer. And it's only 5.5% alcohol, so though it's in a 750 milliliter bottle, you could drink it all yourself. You gotta put this up here so I can put it on the fridge. It's a solid brew. Out of 10, 7.75. It's not extravagant. It's not exploding with flavor, but it's a solid brew. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to drink the rest of this while I watch another episode of Dark Matter. Bye, guys.